At the end of this training, you will learn to create an IELTS plan that ensures you achieve a band 8.0 without stress. Discover how to know the proper IELTS preparation channels to suit your schedule and lifestyle. In addition, I will make you understand the complex question types in IELTS and come up with unique formulas to tackle them. Learn the three secrets I use to deliver outstanding results for my students that they have no other choice but to heed about it. Amazing, right? All right. And if you stay until the end, I'll give you something very special. I give you access to a special gift that will help you succeed in your quest to have a high score. So watch this video to the end, right? This free training will give you insight on how to make your dream band score of 8.0 come true. Now, before I go further into this one, I want to introduce myself. I am Emmanuel Geoffrey, the owner and founder of E&G Tutorials. And in my 7 years of being an IELTS tutor, I've helped over 600 professionals achieve a high IELTS score of 7.5 and above using my unique technique called the question decryption formula, right? And I've done a lot of things right during this period, and equally I've done a lot of things wrong as well. And one of those things that I've learned in my 7 years of doing this, of teaching IELTS, is that I realized that what actually makes people successful in IELTS is your plan and how you prepare. Remember, he who fails to plan to fail. Now, the next thing that I learned is that solving a lot of past questions or practice tests won't guarantee you success. Shocking, right? This is true. Just give me your time and I will explain why this is so, right? And the last thing is that using a single strategy to tackle the various question types in IELTS is a sure path to failure, which is very correctly because there are various question types in IELTS and all of them require different methods in solving it, right? So, and all of this I just told you, I discovered them the hard way. And I see a lot of people make the same mistake as well because what? They waste time and effort watching a lot of online IELTS videos and materials. They are frantically searching for tips, tricks, hacks in several Facebook, WhatsApp, and Telegram groups. And at the end of the day, they have what I call information overload because they consume a lot of information online about the test that they end up not knowing the right information to use. They adopt a bad practice habit that harms them on the examination day by not practicing on that examination condition. But in the midst of all these mistakes I see people make, there is a proven easy way that you can use to achieve a band 8 in IELTS. Using what I'm about to show you, my students use this exact strategy to get an overall band score of 8.0. And there are three secrets. I get him. So the first secret is this: have a watertight IELTS plan. Isn't it obvious? I know, right? Now, the next secret is know the marking criteria for each of the models, right? And the last one is familiarize yourself with all the question types and have a proven formula for each of them. I know that all these things sounds common, but guess what? Most people don't do it. Now, let's go to secret one, having a watertight IELTS plan. Now, for you to ensure that you have a watertight IELTS plan, you need to ask yourself four fundamental questions. And these questions are: number one, what version of IELTS should I write? Right? What band score do I need to qualify for what I want to use it for? That is second. Now, the third one is: when is the best time for me to prepare and take the IELTS test? And lastly, what type of person am I? Do I need a coach, online class, or a personal study? If you can confidently answer this question, then you know you fulfilled all the requirements for secret one. Now let us go into details and find out what each of these questions, are you getting me, entail. So the first one is: what version of IELTS should I write? A lot of people ask me these questions. I get me. But then I tell them that, see, the most important thing is that you should make sure that you consult the institution in charge of whatever you are seeking. They alone can decide the version of IELTS you have to take. Now, there are three versions of IELTS. The first one is IELTS General Training. I get me. It's required for most immigration programs. The ideal test version for the Canadian Permanent Residency Program. We have the IELTS Academic. For those who want to study abroad, you want to go for your postgraduate studies, then this test version is your best bet, right? And we have the IELTS UKVI, a different form of IELTS created for the UK immigration and study purposes. These are mostly done by the medical practitioners such as doctors and nurses. irrespective of this general analysis of all these versions of IELTS, I will still reiterate and say that please make sure that you consult the institution in charge of whatever you are seeking. They alone can decide the version of the IELTS you have to take, right? All right, so the next thing you need to find out is what individual band scores and overall band score do I need to have to meet the relocation job or study requirement. Now, of course, the current Canadian PRIL requirement requires that you have 8 in listening, 8 in reading, 7 in writing, 7 in speaking, and overall band score 7.5. Remember, like I said, this can be different for various. I'm using this as an illustration, right? So, but then once you know the band score that you need, the next step is to know the minimum number of questions you must get right to achieve that band score. Now, a good example, if you take a good at what we have in the school, you discover that in reading, if you have between 37 to 38 correct answer, you have a band 8, right? But if it's an academic reading, if you have for you to have a band, you need to have at least 36 to 35 correct answers. That means you're having a band. So in your personal practice, you should be aiming at least in reading to score above 35. Only then you know that okay, fine, you're actually doing the right and you're at the right track, right? And then listening to for you to have a band, you need to have at least between 35 to 36 correct answers in that order. So it's good that you have this information so that it will help you to plan. Now, the next question you need to answer is when is the best time for me to prepare and take the test, right? For busy professionals, I advise them to take their annual leave. And for the self-employed, I advise you to just devote a month to give it a month preparation because you need to be very focused in preparing for this exam. It's very, very important, right? And now, the last but not the least is your personality. What type of person are you? Are you getting me? Are you the type of person that needs a physical push before you get things done? If you are, then having an online or life coach is ideal for you. But if you are the busy type that won't have time for classes but will prefer personal studies with an opportunity of a feedback from a coach, then an IELTS self-study program is your best bet because 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 this will actually afford you the flexibility. At least you can study on your own and make use of the materials and then go and write the exam and still pass. But whatever you do, please make sure that the author of the program has a track record of success. Now, this is the result of a banker that I trained that was of recent now. He has a very busy schedule, but he reached out to me. I was like, Mr. Man, please, I need you to take me on IELTS coaching via Zoom and everything you get. So I took him through. I mean, we had a 2 weeks intensive program, right? And after which his results came out this way. Now it's because he himself he knew what he wanted to achieve, and he knew that he needed that external push. That was why he reached out to me and told me that okay, fine, I have to help him, right? And now this is the result of when you have a clear focus and easy preparations, right? So this is actually an evidence that the first secret I'm sharing with you in this class is actually working, right? It actually works. Now, secret two, know the marking criteria for each of the models. Now, most people score low in writing and speaking because they don't bother to know what the examiner wants, and this is true. You see them running up and down, checking for tips here and there. No. The emphasis now, you need to realize that you need to know this marking criteria, very, very important. And the reason why I'm putting the emphasis on speaking and writing is because these are the only two that have a marking criteria, right? Knowing the marking criteria helps you know the exact things you need to include in your essay and in your speaking that will attract a high band score. So now these are the marking criteria in writing, right? So the first one is your task response. They look at your coherence and cohesion of your essay, your lexical resource, also now vocabulary is being looked at, and lastly, your grammatical range and accuracy. Now, let us take them one after the other. Now, for task response, let's take this question for example. Now, the question says you should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Write about the following topic. Traditional methods of food preparation are becoming less popular. Why do you think this is? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Write at least 250 words. Now, the task response simply covers number one, did you address the question that is being asked? And what is the question? Why do you think this is? The second thing is this, did you give any reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples? That is one of you need to do that for you to I have a mark in task response, right? And the last one you did is your essay up to at least 250 words. That needs to be considered as well. So the next criteria is your cohesion and coherence, right? So this has to do with how structured, how easily understandable is your essay. That is number one. Are your paragraph logically flowing? Is there a logical flow of paragraph? Are your paragraphs rightly connected with each other? How structured are your paragraph? Now, I want to tell you something, that the right paragraph structure is determined by the question type. So you don't use the same structure to write all the question types. No, you don't use a one size fits all for your IELTS. That is really wrong, right? So the third one is vocabulary. Now, there is this misconception that people have about vocabulary. They think that IELTS, they require you to use grandiloquent speeches to add complex vocabulary. No, what they mean is that you need to use vocabularies that are relevant to the topic. For example, now words like culinary, ingredients, recipe should be included in this essay because it's about what? Food preparation. The more relevant and wider your range of vocabulary is to the topic, the more marks you earn in this marking criteria. So the last one is grammar. That is the grammatical range and accuracy. That's what's being looked at, right? So the examiners are looking out for what your spelling mistakes, missing words in your essay, right? Did you follow the right grammatical rules? How many correct sentences did you make, and all of those? So this is what goes in your grammar, right? So once again, the marking criteria in writing is very simple. We have the type response, I've explained it, coherence and cohesion of your essay, lexical resource, grammatical range, and accuracy. I get it. It's like mathematics. Once the examiner sees that your work contains all that he or she is looking for, then automatically you get the high band score. It's that simple. Very, very simple, right? But sadly, most people neglect this and assume that IELTS writing is a different, it's a freestyle kind of writing without realizing that there are proven and tested structures that guarantees a band 7 and above. Secret 3, familiarize yourself with all the question types and have a proven formula for each of them. Now, there are 12 different question types in reading. Of course, common sense should tell you that you cannot use the same strategy to attempt all these question types. It's not possible. Right? So you need to, at least before the examination, master at least 10 of these question types, especially including the obvious ones, which are the matching list of heading, the sentence completion, the true false note. You need to know these particular ones before you go into the exam, all right? And now, these are the core reasons why most people fail to make a band 8 in reading. I get me. Number one is many of them are not aware of all the question type in reading. Obvious, most people they don't even know that it's up to 12. I get me. Secondly, they don't even know and have not mastered the proven strategy to easily get the answer for each of these 12 question types. And lastly, that is the one that most people do the most, is they use a single strategy to attempt all the question type, which is actually the main reason why people end up having a band 6. I get me. And that's why I have to single it out to highlight the problems of using a single strategy. Now, the first problem you encounter is that you don't feel your reading and your writing tasks on time because you're using a single strategy, right? And they are trapped at a certain score during their practice, usually between 24 and 27, which is not up to a band 7. Right? And lastly, they're always stuck in band 6. And band 6 is usually that between that 25 to 27 is band 6, because we are using a single strategy to attempt the IELTS reading question type, right? But immediately you have a set of formulas that gives you a score of 35 out of 40 in your reading and listening practice test. Consistently, everything changes. You become confident and ready to tackle any question type IELTS throws at you. Right now, I cherish this guy a lot. He was one of my students. I equally had a week training with him, right? A week training on IELTS, and we spent the whole period talking about the question type, talking about strategies. And trust me, as you can see, he had an 8.5 in reading. He had an 8.5 in listening. He had an 8.0 in reading. I get him. And this result was all that he needed to move ahead. I get him. So he actually learned from me. And he was strategy oriented. He was very focused, and that was why he was able to get that result. Are you with me? Now you know the three things that work and why they work. Let's get to the how to get you the same results. I know that this is actually the part that you'll be waiting for, right? Okay, so now the question now is how to come up with proven formulas to tackle each and every question type. Now, how do you finish the 40 questions in reading within an hour? The right structure to use in your writing and speaking to meet the market criteria to achieve a band 7 and above. How to come up with ideas for the various question types in writing tasks too. And a lot more similar questions like this I know you might have. But there is a problem. The truth is I can't cover everything you need here, right? Which is why I created a full online IELTS course where you can get everything you need to achieve that high band score. And in And if you act fast, I'm going to give you a very special deal. Introducing the No Stress Band 8 IELTS program, right? And inside this program, I take you through the proven formula that, when applied correctly, will help you to easily get the correct answers in all question types in reading, especially if you're really having difficulty in matching list of heading through first not given question type. In addition, there's a demonstrative video on how to use my unique DEQF method to finish the reading test in 50 minutes with extra time to go through your answers. Also, I'll be showing you the three building blocks of IELTS questions that, when applied, you will always arrive at the correct answer. And lastly, I will show you a short trick I personally discovered that shows you instantly if the answer you picked is correct or not. In listening, that's not all. In listening, a simple, easy to use method you can learn to help you hear the correct answers, no matter the type of accent being used in the listening test. This trick alone will guarantee you a band 8 in the listening test. How to achieve a maximum focus in listening, even if you have a short attention span. Proven technique you can use in predicting what you're about to hear, and you'll be 90% correct most of the time. In addition, I'll probably be showing you how to use the extra 10 minutes given to you to boost your scores. A sure way of ensuring that you don't make spelling or grammatical mistake during the listening test, right? And lastly, you'll be discovering the pitfalls IELTS places in some listening question types and how to avoid them. Yes, there are pitfalls they really put for you to fail, but what I'm about to show you will reveal all those pitfalls to you, right? All right, so in academic writing, I probably illustrate and show you the step-by-step process of how to identify and analyze the main features of a line graph, bar chart, pie chart, table, process diagrams, and maps, and what you must include in these various charts to meet the minimum bar score of 7.0. Right, I'll probably be demonstrating how to plan and organize your paragraph in such a way that it meets the marking criteria, that the examiner will have no other choice than to give you a bar 7.5. You like that, right? And my unique 7-step process you can easily apply to generate relevant essay ideas, even if you have zero clue about the essay topic, and the right paraphrasing technique you can use to score more points. That is not all. I equally discussed in general as well how to handle your general writing, and I will show you how to come up with good logical story that fits perfectly within the context of the letter, that makes your letter interesting to the examiner, that he or she will have no choice than to smile and give you a band 7.5. And I know you like this, right? And I equally show you how to organize your letter to meet the marking criteria of a band 7.5. I equally reveal certain words that you should include in your letter that tells the examiner that you understand what the question type demands of you and makes your work unique, thereby attracting a high band score. I will equally show you a three-step formula you can use to understand the topic of the essay. This is actually regarding your tax too you've been given, so that you don't worry about writing off point and lose marks on that, right? It doesn't end there. In speaking as well, I will probably teach you how to give full-blown answers to questions and have a lively speaking section that the examiner will have no other choice than to rate you high. I will probably show you how to answer any question you know nothing about during the speaking test and still achieve a band 8.0. I will probably show you how to uncover the basic tips you ought to know to do well in your speaking. Also, inside this program, you have access to a support group where you can ask many questions on IELTS and get help within 24 hours. All of this put together is what I call the No Stress Band 8 program, designed for busy professionals who doesn't have the time to practice but just want to spend time practice at least for less than an hour, right? And when you get the No Stress Band 8 IELTS program, you also get, as a bonus, you get the 50 days personal study materials alongside the study plan to keep you engaged till the exam date. You also get the vocabulary builder, contains a list of easy to use words that will improve your band score in writing. You'll also get what I call the IELTS Crash Course Booster. For some who, like my student Ayokunle, are so busy that they can't even practice and they need to write their IELTS within a couple of days, I added this part for you. Now, this is what Ayokunle had to say about this particular package, right? Because I put him through this particular program. So he said, I attempted my first IELTS without a tutor and didn't get the desired band score I need immediately. But immediately I registered to rewrite, but this time I knew I needed a tutor. So I contacted a friend of mine who was once trained by Mr. Emmanuel. Initially, I didn't believe in him, considering the fact that I just had a week to prepare. On attending his class sections, he blew my mind and over delivered, as his strategies and methods were simple to understand and they always lead you to the correct answer. as far as passing the IELTS test is concerned, he is your best bet. Now, this is actually a review, a recommendation that Ayokule gave on his encounter with me, right? And as the fourth bonus, I'm only giving you carefully chosen practice tests with over 72 past IELTS questions across all models for your personal study. Now, who has this particular work? Now, as you can see, you are work for busy professionals who have tight schedule, persons who want to migrate or study abroad, because I have a lot of students who are currently in the UK, in the Canada, who are always sending me referrals, other students for me to train as well. This has equally work for those who are stuck on band 6 or band 6.5, who want a band 7.5 and above in any of the models. Those who need extra help in writing, this has equally work for them as well. Bankers, nurses, medical doctors who want to relocate and work abroad has equally benefited from this awesome program. Now, these are some of the reviews that some of the students have. And look at what this one says. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for letting me ace my IELTS academic in my first attempt. I've always dreaded this exam, but you made the tutorial so easy, thereby giving me courage to write the exam within 2 months of preparation. Thank you for your assistance, especially in writing and reading. Your teaching method are top notch. Now, this is a review for someone who has actually undergone this program and can testify to how effective it is in delivering, giving you the result, right? So I had two choices when I decided to actually create this course. What was as to go as cheap as possible and try to sell as many as possible. But I knew that even if I decide to bring down the price and sell at a very low, but just to make sale, definitely I will not give it my best. I get it me. So I went for the second option, which was what it required a little investment. I said, okay, fine. I'll make this to I'll make the amount I'm going to price this to be commensurate with the amount of effort I need, because I needed to give it my best to actually give you the best so that you can actually achieve your desired band score using the strategies I shared here. I get me. So I went with the second option because I have your interest at heart, right? So I want to ask you now, are you with me? If all I did was give you a band 7 or even 7.5 in writing, would a one-time payment of 50,000 be worth it? And let's say if all I did was just to give you about 7 in reading, would a one-time payment of 50,000 worth it? And of course, if, for example, now let's say I give an overall band score of 8.0, would a one-time payment of 50,000 naira worth it? Now, I believe that you must have answered those questions, right? But then I want to now ask you another one. What is an overall band score of 8.0 worth for you? If you can pay 15,000 naira, 20,000 naira, 25,000 naira, and more in exchange to meet your immigration or relocation requirement, will you grab it? I know that for someone who has actually written this exam 3 good or 4 times, will definitely want to grab this offer, because this is actually an ironclad guarantee I'm giving, I'm assuring in this particular program, right? So, but then if you want to sell this considering its value, then you can see why it's a good like 50,000 naira. Are you with me? We sell at 35,000 naira to everyone else. That is just the honest truth. I get it. But because you are special and I promise to give you a good deal, right? I won't sell it to you at 35,000. Neither will I sell it to you at 25,000 naira. I will give it to you for just 18,000 naira, right? So just go now and get this particular course for 80,000 naira today by clicking the button below, or you can sign up, or you can visit the website to just make your payments, right? Now you have two choices. First, your first option is just to do nothing and not take this leap of faith. I get it, which is 100%. Just do it, just stay. But the second option is that you put this small investment of 18,000 naira compared to all the value you are getting in return, and then just give it a shot. And trust me, you will never regret it. Right? Now, what type of person are you? Are you the type of person that just wakes up, okay, goes ahead, register for IELTS and take the exam and fails, or you are the one of those who actually plans very well, prepare using a guide and seeking professional feedback, and at the end of the day achieving his or her result? Definitely I leave that question to you as well. So you have to tell me the type of person you are, right? So look, I'm nothing special. I'm not even an English professor. Neither did I have A1 in my work or a native English speaker. But I can still give you an overall band score because why I've succeeded in making the training models very, very easy for you to comprehend. Now, here are feedbacks from people who have attended my training, right? So as you can see, this one is telling you that okay, I honestly like the method you teach. Well, I'm glad that I joined so late. Now, if I see another tax in for me, I have the structure at the back of my head. All I need to do is just to arrange the English. So sorry for that particular typo, typographical error, but this is actually a testimonial that I should. But if you go to my website, you're going to see loads of testimonial about this particular program. So go now and get it for just 18,000 naira. All right. So I thank you very much for listening. And if you feel that you liked, or you have any questions, please feel free to reach out via the email below my website, and all you need is inside. All right. Thank you very much and see you inside the course area. Thanks.